Hi, this is Brian. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the OWL today, and the OWL is a disaster management software really useful for natural disasters, but might be able to be used in a lot of different situations that require an incident management capability. So I'm going to walk you through the software piece of the OWL, which is a voice-based software you can talk to manage an incident, and then we're going to move on to the hardware component, the Clusterduck. So let's get started. So this is the management interface you arrive at. It's sparse now, but it will be filled with content momentarily. On the left side, we have our conversational dialogue. This is where we talk to the OWL. In the center, this is where content will pop in and out. We call this the action area. And on the right, we have kind of a real-time notification dashboard. Think of this section here, the notifications like Twitter, from our official sources on the ground. So you can see 22 minutes ago, medical triage was set up on the scene. And if you're an incident responder, that's really important to know and get confirmation, so that's good. Just below that, we have priorities. So if you're a first responder to a disaster, you know how hard it is to think clearly under the immense pressure of time and the stress to solve big challenges where people's lives are on the line. Sometimes it's really helpful to have a quick and easy to see reminder of what are the top several things I need to remember to do when it's very hard to think clearly. So this is good to always have available. So let's play around with this. And really quickly, we can not only type to this, such as hello, we can also talk to it.
Hi there.
So I'm going to go ahead and talk to it, but you can do both. Can you show us the menu? Now this menu here, you could click through as a graphical user interface. We're going to use the conversational capabilities, but just to know it's always there for you if you need. You can remove the menu. Can you show us mapping?
I've shown location information for the current incident.
Mapping is very important for disasters, especially the ability to make geofences, add markers. This is a way for everyone to get a common operating picture of the geographical space we're operating in. And any updates you would make as an incident manager to this can be distributed to anyone else who has access to this, so very useful. Can you show us resources?
Here is an overview of incident resources.
This is very useful to coordinate and manage resources for an incident. So here we have examples such as a mobile EMS unit and defibrillators. But this could be more things depending on the type of disaster that's involved, and you can set the location, assign this to certain managers. Very useful, again, to have a common operating picture of what resources you have, where they're available, and who's responsible for them. Let's move on to another section. Can you show us the weather?
Here is the current weather as well as the forecast for your area.
Using over a dozen APIs from the weather company, we're able to, again, paint a complete operating picture of the current incident. Now, the weather APIs would be particularly useful for something like a hurricane, like we have displayed here, and we can show a forecast, an overview, but we can even get really particular data, and this is where the voice interface becomes exceptionally useful. Let me show you what I mean. Hey, we live about 50 miles northeast of the hurricane. What kind of hurricane conditions should we expect in our area?
This hurricane is currently a Category 4 and about 100 miles in diameter. You will likely avoid catastrophic damage, but will still experience strong winds and flash flooding. I recommend you seek shelter.
So, using voice, we can think about these types of questions as the second order of voice. The first order being, can you show us this? Can you tell me this? Show us mapping. The second order being more data-driven in the sense of asking a nuanced question, very personal to myself. So in this particular example, hey, we live in a certain place, and given the weather, given our location, and given the time and day it is, can you tell me certain things I might need to know about my own particular situation and how I'm able to respond to this effectively? And we expect over the next couple of weeks to build out more capabilities in this kind of very particular voice-based experience. Now let's quickly move on to the hardware component of our project. We call this the Clusterduck. First, I want to show you the roadmap. One Clusterduck is a set of 5 duck links and 1 mama duck. And the Clusterduck is an ad hoc mobile network we can deploy to places where infrastructure has been knocked offline. So a Clusterduck provides communications and a small kind of basic internet infrastructure to places that don't have it, and this can be really useful for civilians and responders. As of right now, we've established the duck links. We've built these little IoT devices. They connect to a mama duck, which is a kind of a central server that connects the duck links. And we're working on connecting mama ducks to papa ducks or other mama ducks. And what these do is one Clusterduck, again, is 5 duck links and a central hub. Connecting them allows us to cover a large geographical area. So you can imagine maybe not just connecting one to another, but connecting many of these together. And what we're working towards for the completion of our competition is to be able to connect multiple Clusterducks chain linked together to the World Wide Web. And through this method, we would be able to bring internet and other types of communication resources to places that don't have any infrastructure. The way we can deploy this, and if you want more insight into the cost effectiveness of it, you can click through cost effectiveness here. Again, you can reach this online at the URL projectowl.herokuapp.com/clusterduck. And this overview covers the range of the Clusterduck, how many it takes for each Clusterduck, what this network would look like, how it's deployed through a simple commercial drone. The Clusterducks are very lightweight. They're battery powered, so they're self-sustaining, so you just need to drop them from a drone. It's very quick and effective. And they're actually quite cheap to cover large-scale geographical areas. And we've given 2 examples here where hurricanes were quite bad last year. And I just want to note, it's unlikely you would ever need to or want to cover all 3,500 square miles of Puerto Rico. But we show this as an example that $500,000 to cover this entire territory is actually quite a small amount of money. But it's a lot more likely that given a disaster, you would need to cover very critical parts of where a response effort is happening, such as San Juan, where 100 square miles of geographical area to cover with Clusterducks, much more cost effective and reasonable to execute. And we're working to expand the range of the Clusterduck as well as bring costs down. And that's all for this overview. Please, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for watching.